Hi, I'm Tim Bartz, Internet Sales Manager here at McArthur Ford, Salina, Kansas, your source for Ford news, update, and information with a video on our scheduling information for this week. For those of you that have an order that has not been scheduled for production date, you might be wanting to watch this because hopefully this is your week. We're going to talk about what is going to be scheduling and the notes for each of the different models for Thursday, March 20th, which is what's happening this Thursday for production dates, mostly in May. There are some models that may not be in May, but most of the production is for May production dates. So let's jump in. Oh, don't forget to make sure you're subscribed with that bell notification turned on so you don't miss any of these videos. And if you're watching this when this goes live, we are going to be on tonight at 7 p.m. Central to go ahead and answer any questions you might have live. So if you want to bring those questions to us, you can. Otherwise, you can drop any questions you have down below. Please, if you have never watched one of these videos, don't skip ahead to your model. Please watch this next section so you can get a little information and so I can answer some of those questions that you might think about having when it comes to some of the terminology that I reference in each of the different model breakdowns. So let's go through that. So now, first off, talking about ordering and getting your vehicle ordered for a production date. Well, those orders are placed in the order bank. That's where dealer places all their stock and retail orders, well, fleet as well, in that order bank. Now, retail order, that is a customer placed order. So when we say retail order, that's that person that's ordered a vehicle with their dealer at their dealership, and the dealership places an order on their behalf. Stock order, that's an order that is placed by the dealership for their stock or lot inventory. A dealer has to have a mixture of both because if they get allocations and don't have retail orders, they need to have stock orders in there. And if the dealer doesn't, then Ford will push stock orders in there for them. Priority code, that's a priority given to each order by the dealer. Whether it be a retail or stock order, they get a different priority code. 0 to 3 through 19 is a retail order type. The lower the better. Stock is 20 to 80, so you can see retail orders are looked at before a stock order. Scheduling, that is when Ford schedules an order for a production date in the future month. That is what we're talking about in this video primarily, is getting your order scheduled for a production date. And that production date is when that vehicle or that order is going to be built by the manufacturer or by the plant. Allocations, that is where Ford gives dealers allocations to schedule their orders. A dealer needs an allocation to schedule an order in the order bank, and a dealer earns those allocations from their sales of each model within their region. I like to say allocations is the money we need to purchase more orders. So without an allocation, we can't get an order scheduled. So just like you don't have any money, you can't buy a certain product at the store, same kind of principle. Constraints, those are options that may be in short supply or take longer to build. And capacity, that's the planned production rate for a given motor, trim, or option. And then job, the different jobs, the job 1, job 2, and some even this year we're seeing a job 3. Those are the production is split into different job runs within a model year, and that allows them to be able to introduce something new or change something if they have some supply issues from the suppliers. Then they'll have to make those changes, and we did see that with job 3 with some things for the Explorer. Balance out, that's the end of production or the balance out of a particular option, model, or even a job run, whether it be balanced out on a job 1, start up a job 2, that kind of thing. We'll see that as well. If you have any questions on any of that, again, drop them down below. But without further ado, let's jump in and start talking about the different breakdown of different models. So 25 model year Mustang. There's currently 534 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. They are scheduled this week for production weeks, the weeks of 5/5 through 5/26, and they say main commitment. We'll see that. We'll hear that throughout this on all these models. That means they're not just looking at retail orders, but also stock orders. This is where last week they pretty much scheduled most of the retail orders only. This week it can be a mixture. If there's a retail order in there, they'll look at that first. Otherwise, then they'll start fulfilling the allocations the dealer has left with those stock orders. No other constraints on the Mustang. All right, next up is the 25 model year Escape. Currently 226 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up for the Escape. It does say in here that they are scheduling this week, but from what our notes was they weren't planning to schedule for May production dates. But in here, it says that they're scheduling for the weeks of April 28th through May 26th. So they might be scheduled for that last May or that last day in April. It does say main commitment in here. We didn't receive any allocations for regular gas or hybrid versions of the Escape. They were trailing that off, trying to catch up on some things. So I don't know if that's going to happen. It does say in here exhausted availability for your plug-in hybrid version. So they did schedule a lot of those last week. All right, next up, 25 model year Bronco Sport. There's currently 106 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up for the Bronco Sport. They are scheduled this week, main commitment as well. So retails first, then they'll look for fulfilling those allocations with stock orders. And they are scheduled for the weeks of May 5th to the weeks of May 26th. Does say in here they are needing some Big Ben orders with the Black Diamond off-road package. So that is a great way. If you have a dealer out there that you need allocations, trying to get it fulfilled, try putting that order in, you'll get it fulfilled. Also, they are also needing some other orders. It says in here, Big Ben with the Black Diamond, as well as Badlands Sasquatch and Outer Banks Sasquatch to finish out May scheduling. So that they are needing some of those. So pretty cool there, because that Sasquatch package for Badlands and Outer Banks is pretty cool. Exhaust availability for the standard Big Ben and the standard Badlands as well, freewheeling and the Heritage until next cycle. That means that pretty much those are exhausted right now. They can't really schedule them. Outer Banks with a tech package is also exhausted, but it sounds like to me an Outer Banks without is not. So that might be an option. Very limited exhaust availability for the tire that's standard on all those. So all the ones that are exhaust availability, the tire that's part of that is very limited to exhausted availability. So that's the same one that's standard on your Big Ben, your freewheeling, your Heritage, all those as well. So just keep that in mind. All right. Next up, we're ready for the 25 model year Bronco. Currently only 566 unscheduled retail orders in order bank. The order banks are open up for those. They are scheduled this week for the weeks of April 28th to the weeks of May 26th. And main commitment, which means they're going to look for retails first, but then try to fulfill the rest of the dealer's allocations with stock if they don't have a retail order in there. So now's a good time if you're, place that retail order. And then it does say in here, there's a note, no scheduling for the 2.3 liter EcoBoost with the 7-speed manual transmission. Please consider changing to a 10-speed automatic. So just so you know, if you have a manual transmission out there, it is probably not going to be scheduling for May production dates. So you might have to wait about a month. So just keep that in mind. Next up, 25 model year Mustang Mach-E. Currently 74 unscheduled retail orders in order bank. The order banks are open up. They are scheduled this week for the weeks of April 28th to the weeks of May 26th. Main commitment, again, that means that if there's a retail order, we'll try to fulfill that first. But if a dealer doesn't have a retail order, they'll try to use those allocations that the dealer has earned towards using stock orders. So make sure you have a variety in there if you're a dealer that has allocations. Next up, 25 model year Explorer. Currently 364 unscheduled retail orders in order bank. The order banks are open up. They are scheduled this week for the weeks of May 5th to the weeks of May 26th. Again, main commitment, which means if there's a retail order in there, they'll look at that first and then look at stock orders to fulfill the rest of the dealer allocations. Very limited to exhausted availability for a lot of things on the Explorer. The Active, ST line, Platinum. The 20-inch carbonized gray painted aluminum wheel, that's wheel option 64Y, as well as the 21-inch dark alloy painted aluminum wheel, that's wheel option 64Z. Also the keyless entry keypad, option 61E. And then limited availability for the 2.3 liter EcoBoost engine. So a lot of issues there. So there's only certain things that they're trying to fulfill. They probably scheduled most of the production last week. There must have been enough retail orders. They'll try to fulfill the rest of those with stock orders probably this week. All right, next up, 25 model year Expedition. Currently 1,333 unscheduled retail orders in order bank. The order banks are open up. And they are scheduled this week for the production weeks of April 28th to the weeks of May 26th. Main commitment, again, means retail and stock are going to be looked at, both. Retail first, of course, and then looking at stock. Exhaust availability for a lot of the different wheels. So let me go through these. It's wheel option 64X, which is an 18 by 8.5 inch dark alloy painted aluminum wheel. The 64C, which is a 20 by 8.5 inch carbonized gray Bright Machine aluminum wheel. Wheel option 64H, 22-inch by 9-inch Sinister bronze with the diamond cut machine face aluminum wheel, it says. 64Z, which is a 24-inch by 9.5-inch tarnished dark metallic. That is your Platinum Ultimate wheel. And then wheel option 64A, 22-inch by 9-inch ebony bright machine face aluminum wheel. So almost all your platinum wheels. Those 22s are platinum. I think one is the like a stealth wheel, and that's probably the ebony one. And then the Sinister bronze is an optional wheel you can get. And then that 20-inch carbonized gray bright machine, I think, is the one that's standard on the platinum. So a lot of those are, like we talked about last week, there's a lot of platinum orders and actives that aren't going to be available. So you need to look at those other trim levels to fulfill your allocations. So, all right, next up is a 25 model year Maverick. Currently only 1,560 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up. They are scheduled this week for the weeks of May 5th to the weeks of May 26th. Main commitment, again, just like I mentioned earlier in the other models, that means they're going to look at retails first. If there's not a retail order, they'll fulfill the dealer allocations with stock orders. So, or if they have a retail order that does not fit the criteria or the configurations they can schedule, they'll also look at stock. They are needing some XLT versions with the FX4 off-road package. They send here, say, very limited exhaust availability for the part-time drive. What that means is your front-wheel drive. And then limited availability for the Tremor version. So other than that, looks like we're good to go there. All right, next up, 25 model year Ranger. Currently only 267 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up, and they are scheduled this week for the Ranger for the weeks of April 28th through the weeks of May 26th. Main commitment, again, means looking at retails first, and then if the dealer doesn't have them, they're going to go for stocks for those orders. Limited availability for the 17-inch forged beadlock capable wheel that's optional on the Raptor. So that's one thing that could cause a Raptor not getting scheduled. Very limited to exhausted availability for the XL version, the 2.7-liter EcoBoost engine, and the 17-inch gray painted aluminum wheel. That's the sport wheel that's included in the XLT Sport Appearance Package, which is now standard on the XLT. So, and that's all I have for Ranger. All right, next up is the 25 model year Super Duty. Currently 5,976 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up right now, and they are scheduled this week at Kentucky Truck Plant for the weeks of March 31st through the weeks of April 21st. In Ohio for the weeks of March 31st through the weeks of April 28th. So this is a little different than the other models. They're all scheduled for May production dates. Super Duty, they're still scheduled for April production dates. So that's saying here they are needing some orders from dealers for F250 and 350 XL or XLT with a 7.3-liter gas engine for the regular cab without the fifth wheel prep package and the 40 console 40 seats. That's new for this week. Also, they're needing some F250 and 350 XL, XLT, or Lariats with a 7.3-liter gas engine for the super cab without the fifth wheel prep package and the 40 console 40 seats. So they're needing the bench seat, it looks like, on these. So when they say, it says without the fifth wheel prep package and the console, right? So it's without both of those. So very limited exhaust availability for the 6.7-liter high output Power Stroke diesel engine, as well as a 6.7-liter Power Stroke diesel engine. Also, crew cab is very limited exhausted, and the fifth wheel gooseneck hitch prep package. So there you go. And I know they did. We talked about like last week, I think I mentioned, or the week before, that they increased the production of these engines as well as the gooseneck prep package. But that just probably means they scheduled a lot of that stuff last week, and so this week they're not able to schedule as many, and that's why it's limited exhausted for this week, not totally for the month. Very limited availability for the F450. Again, they probably scheduled most of their production of 5% production for those weeks already. And the Platinum Plus is also limited availability, and the 20-inch machine aluminum wheel that's included in the black appearance package. So a lot of people are going to probably pop that in there like, well, you said that they were ramping up production and everything else. Again, these are notes for this week. Last week, we didn't see some of these notes on there because they probably scheduled most of that stuff for those dates. This week, they got to fill in with those little holes. That means that since they've already scheduled most of their gooseneck prep packages, their Platinum Pluses, their F450s, they need to fill in around that with other configurations. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, that's it for Super Duty. Next up is a 25 model year F-150. Currently 3,221 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up, and they are scheduled this week for the weeks of April 28th through the weeks of May 12th. And that's saying here that to remember that the 5.0 liter STX is retail only, as well as the Raptor 801A is retail only. So just so you know that. They are needing some STX orders with the 2.7 liter engine, and they're all needing some Lariats with the 3.5 hybrid as well. It does make a note on both of those. They are also without any constraints listed below. Very limited exhaust availability for the 5.0 liter engine and the T74 tire. That's the 265/70 R17 black sidewall all-terrain tire that's standard on 4x4 XL with wheel option 64C. So, all right, Lightning, F-150 Lightning. Order banks are open up for those as well. They are scheduled for those same weeks, the weeks of April 28th through the weeks of May 12th. Best availability as the XLT version, the Platinum version without the Dark Elements package, and the Lariat trim. The only one not listed in there is your Flash Edition. So, and they also don't have Pro listed in there either. Pro is pretty much going to be centered right towards the fleet. So if you're not a fleet, then it's going to be hard for you to get a Pro to get scheduled or to get produced as a retail customer. All right, next up is a 25 model year Transit. Currently 1,006 unscheduled retail orders in the order bank. The order banks are open up. They are scheduled this week for production weeks, the weeks of April 21st to the weeks of May 5th. That's in here. Important information: orders with a Sync 3 with a 4-inch multifunction display have a better chance to schedule than orders with the AM/FM stereo with a 4-inch multifunction display. So make sure you add those Sync 3 systems on yours. Limited availability for the all-wheel drive version, as well as the high roof extended van. So just only notes in there for the Transit, and that's it. So that is all our scheduling for this week. Again, if you have any questions, drop them down below. They did last week was the first week of scheduling for a lot of these models. So most models, they scheduled all those retails first to fill up and figure out what for their capacities. And then now we're seeing some what you might say is constraints, but it's just they need to work around what they have for availability for configurations for the rest of the production month. So hopefully that makes some sense. And if it doesn't, drop those down and see if I can explain it any other way, and hopefully help you out, get your vehicle scheduled. If you do get scheduled this week, or you got scheduled last week, let us know down in the comments. We want to celebrate with you. Hopefully you get scheduled real soon at your local dealer. If you're having any struggles getting scheduled, I'll do the best that I can to maybe try to figure out why maybe it hasn't scheduled. But probably the biggest thing is your dealer needs an allocation. Again, without an allocation, it can't get scheduled. So if you have an order with a dealer and they have 0 allocations, it doesn't matter. It won't get scheduled. A dealer has to have an allocation to schedule your order. So order is not king. Allocation is king when it comes to this. So hopefully have the conversation with your dealership. Find out if they have available allocations, because a lot of them, they won't always have allocations every week. A lot of those get used the first week. So for them to say, oh, yeah, we always have allocations, it doesn't always work that way. So make sure you have those conversations with your dealers, and good luck this week in getting scheduled with your order. And until next week, make sure you subscribe with the bell notification turned on so you don't miss any of these videos. Stay positive, be kind to one another, be kind to yourself, and we'll see you on the next video.